welcome to Jay's Bass Channel, and I'm doing something a little bit different today. I am doing a guitar pedal for bass, and this is something that's, I basically was curious, like I saw Warm Audio put out this this Tube Squealer pedal here, and it had a blend control on it. And in my mind, if it's got a blend control, you can use it on bass and just use a little bit of the distortion blended in with the clean bass signal. So I was curious how it sounded, and so I decided, well, there must be a video on YouTube of this, and there was no video at all. So I said, well, maybe that would be cool to make one with the bass going through with the Tube Squealer, because maybe somebody else was curious about that. Now, typically, this style of pedal is obviously a style of pedal that these guys have just put their own spin on. And like Warm always does, they make great stuff. And they've done definitely some enhancements here that I'll talk about. But we're not going to use it on guitar. We're going to use it on bass. And right now I have the blend. When you heard me demo it, I had the blend on, mostly, I guess, 25% dirty. And the drive I had up pretty high. I had the tone back, and I have the level back a little bit too. I think I have it in the bottom mode over here on this switch, and at the TS 808 switch here. Although with the bass, it didn't seem to matter too much which one of the Tube Squealer settings I had. It sounded about the same because I'm only using a light blend of it. And I guess another good thing about this pedal, if you have one of these pedals and you need to record bass, you can use this pedal. And let me just let you hear kind of what I've got dialed in on the bass. Now, a lot of people don't really want a distorted bass sound. They want just that tiny bit of drive that kind of smooth out the rough edges and give a little more bite to things. And this pedal actually does this because obviously the distortion that it adds is a little brighter, a little more mid-range, no real low-end distortion. So let's check it out a little bit. All right, let's listen without what I've got dialed in on this pedal. Again with the pedal on. So it's definitely giving a little more bite, especially if you're doing that kind of Iron Maiden-y type of patterns, or patterns where the notes really need to it's definitely it's jumping out a little bit more. Again, with this tiny bit of distortion. Definitely a little more mid-range there. Back to the pedal on. And also, like the name implies, I'm just going straight into a preamp here. I'm not going through an amplifier. And it definitely gives me a little more of a feeling of a tube sound. Now, a lot of people might get one of these kind of inexpensive TC Class D bass heads, and it's just super clean. And they don't really want a fuzzy bass sound, and maybe you play in a band that wants a classic rock bass sound, and you just need to dirty it up just a tiny bit. this pedal is great for that. Now, obviously, if you kind of, you know, not going to work on bass so well. Definitely want to keep a lot of the clean in there so that you don't lose your low end. But that's what the blend knob is for. Also, we could listen to a few other things like the tone of the distortion. Now, if I bring the tone of the distortion up, I don't particularly like the rattliness of the brighter top end. I'm sure some people would, but I'll go for more of a, you know, something that tries to feel like an old vintage tube amp. That's what I like the sound of. I've kind of played for those for years, old Music Mans and such. And even when I play solid state amps, I like to try to dial them in to sound more like the old tube heads because of the kind of compression and kind of round mid-range. And that's still a little brighter than what I had. I kind of liked. Even. It could be a fairly subtle difference for a lot of people, but to me, you know, if I'm trying to play a pseudo clean bass sound, I don't want the notes all mushed up. I still want them to pump. And obviously, if you get a lot of distortion, the pump is not the same as a clean-ish bass sound. So I think that if you got one of these things sitting around, it's definitely usable on bass. It's not something that you would think of going to as your main bass distortion pedal, but it definitely could do that job. The great thing about this is it is a great guitar tool. It's definitely more flexible than most of this type of pedal. I guess we won't talk about the original that it was modeled from, but this has definitely got a lot of variation. I'm actually going to definitely try this on guitar before I send it back to Warm. Thanks again to Warm Audio for sending me this to try out. They were nice enough to send it, and I don't really have any manufacturers sending me stuff here at Jay's Bass Channel, so I'm really happy that somebody has been cool enough to send it. I'm a fan of the Warm Audio gear. I've got some of their recording gear. I've used their microphones, and now I've tried out some of these pedals, and they've been a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to getting some more Warm Audio stuff, and definitely sounds more like a tube amp than I kind of forgot the pedal was on, because it really doesn't, when I was playing earlier, just warming up a little bit, it sounded pretty natural. But I kind of, for classic rock, hard rock bass sounds, I don't really like a lot of these modern preamp pedals and the type of distortion that they give. And I think that with some very particular tweaking, like turning the tone knob all the way back on this particular one and blending in about 25%, it's a very cool distortion. Gives you a nice pronunciation of the mid-range, and it kind of rounds the top end off a little bit. So if you are thinking about a dual purpose pedal, this is definitely good. I've definitely, the old-timey version of the original version of this pedal, I tried to use it on bass a long time ago, and it was very difficult to try to make that work. So thanks again to Warm Audio. Thanks for checking out Jay's Bass Channel. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for some more similar content. All right, we'll see you later.